challenged that she hadn't offered any options. Today, in a speech that is to be the entertaining speaker, she is offering some options. So I'm looking forward to this. Some of the things that you're asked to look for is what indicated to you that the audience was entertained. Briefly describe the organization, the talk's organization as you perceived it. And did the speaker effectively use descriptions and anecdotes and or stories? Let me introduce with no further delay, Diane Eisner.
This is a fun little topic for me. I didn't realize how politically uneducated I was anymore. You know, when you're in your teens, everybody's rah-rah, this party, that party, I'm pro this, against that. And we all get busy when we stop paying attention. But when they made these new regs in the airports about body screening, and you know, I've lived through it too many times, I went, you know, this just doesn't seem right. So I started to look at what our political parties are doing for us and how they're treating us. I find that they're all treating us very badly. Is anybody here really totally happy with their political party? I don't care which one it is. None of them? All of them? Is anybody happy? I don't see any hands. Want to check on that?
Fireball.
So one of the things I decided to do is look at what our options are as individuals to help us understand what's going on. So one of the first things I came up with was the ACLU. And when I was a kid, I thought that they did a really good work. And then I went, but wait a minute, that's crazy. They got something in New Jersey called workfare struck down. What that meant was if you were receiving welfare, you had to contribute back to the community. They had one person left on welfare, and the ACLU got it determined that that was slavery. That since you had no options, the government couldn't command you to work for them in order to get a welfare check. That was one of those crazy things. I'm going, what are you people, nuts? You don't want everybody on welfare. So the ACLU kind of went out the window, but they do good work. They just defended this mom in, I think it was Chicago, who had her kid in the school district where her husband lived. And they tried to charge the single mom in school $30,000 for back payment because the school was that much more expensive than the one in her district. Wow. And she actually got 5 years in jail. And she can't practice as a teacher anymore, which is what she was studying to be. So, but the ACLU actually went and pro bono defended her and lost. So they do some good work, but you know, that's not absolutely the solution. So then I started to look for organizations that were more like a think tank. So I looked at something called the Cato Institute. And they're based on a Methodist philosophy, and they believe in liberty and limited government. So what they do is they lobby and they try to explain to you why the government is doing what they're doing and why they shouldn't, and if they shouldn't. They're an interesting group, but they led me to the Libertarian Party. And the Libertarian Party is really interesting because their manifest is limited government. And I'm looking at them and I'm going, the Libertarian Party, they have a test in the front. And it asks you what your political beliefs are. Do you believe that they have a right to control your reproductive organs? Do you believe in equality? Do you believe in welfare? Do you believe in all of the aspects of government and how they affect our lives? So I took this little test and I found out that I'm someplace between the centrist, which I'd never heard of, the John Birch Society, and a Democrat. I didn't one of them. And I'm going, okay, I'm a little confused here. So I started to look at what they're talking about. And they're talking about limited government, keeping people out of your personal life. They actually, and I was really surprised, believe that if you want to marry anybody, you should be able to do it. I'm going to the Libertarian Party. Aren't those the guys with the guns, you know, living in the backwoods, kind of defending themselves against the U.S. government with the machine guns? Well, apparently not. They're apparently a much more well-rounded. But what's funny about them is they're considered anarchists. Only they hold 140 political offices, which is kind of an oxymoron. Because if you're an anarchist, you don't believe in government. You want to abolish it. So their attempt is to govern from the inside. Unfortunately, generally, if you're part of the establishment, you're part of the problem. So, because people want to stay in power. So as I said, I found out that I'm someplace around there called the centrist party. Now the centrist party is really interesting because they believe in common sense. And I've never heard of them, and I've been around for a long time. I should have heard of the centrist party. They believe that if someplace in the middle between the Democrats and the Republicans taking ridiculous stances in opposite directions, that there is a center ground that's based on common sense, it's based on our ability to compromise, take the long view, take the short view, look at what's best for everybody. And most of us are probably centrists. We probably don't believe in all the extremes that the political parties are throwing at us. They don't believe that, you know, we should have universal health care necessarily. It may not be in the best interest of the country, but what is? We already have health care for most people over 65, a Medicare. So we really do have already the basis for health care in this country. It's a program that's been run right into the ground, but it's something that's available to us. So I'm looking at the centrist party and going, you know, I want to sign up. This really sounds like a good idea. So I went to see how many people they had elected into office. How many people they supported. Can't find who they support. I could find who the Libertarians supported. I could find out who they gave an A for or an F2, or, you know, on their political views and whether or not they were, you know, in their freedom policies. But the centrists, no. So I kind of took a look at them again, and I realized that everything they said was kind of an equivocation. They go, yeah, we want to use common sense, but what does that mean? There isn't a hard, defined line that you can say, okay, I believe that, and I want to follow that. However, I think that for most of us, a centrist attitude, and if we could actually get that kind of a party going, would be much more beneficial to all of us. So I'll leave you with this thought. Generally, people who are in the center of the road are considered to be flotsam and jetsam. They're usually in the way. They're not really activists. So what we need to do is actually turn that centrist attitude into something strong and positive. And thank you very much.